La 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 la. Screen peeking. Bop bop bop.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Screen Peeking, a weekly podcast where Ziggy and I get together to talk about video games and everything video game related. However, today we don't have Ziggy. Why not, you may ask? Well, he had a bunch of icy rain hit his place or around his area. He's had no power for a few days. And thanks to Jesse here, we have my brother Jesse in to fill the spot. Jesse, thanks for being here today. I really, really appreciate it.
No problem. Glad I was available.
Yeah, me too. We have a lot to talk about today. Just a reminder, this is episode 25 of Screen Peeking. We have quite a bit to talk about, so we're just going to jump right into it. First thing on the list is what we've been playing. I'll go first. Jess, you can kind of get your games together in your head, and I'll come right to you there.
My game?
Your one game, yeah, and we'll hear all about it, so you can just go right into that.
Yeah, okay.
For myself, I finished Spider-Man Miles Morales this last week. That was a great game, a lot of fun. Actually got a little teary-eyed at the end of the game, so I appreciated that. It made me actually emotional. I love it when a game can get me in that way, because especially when I don't expect it, right?
Right, yeah.
Then, because of that, I purchased the original Spider-Man from 2018 that was on PS4, but I got the remastered version for PS5. Been having a blast with that one. So much fun. I think I like Miles Morales better, but it's still this one's a great game. And when I say better, I'm just saying in terms of the traversal, they definitely optimized the being able to swing through the city and not stopping all of a sudden if you hit it at wrong angle or something. Like in Miles Morales, they made that a lot smoother. I found the combat a little bit better as well. But in terms of story, I think the first game is getting me more interested.
Yeah, more the classic Spider-Man vibe.
Yeah, you got your villains and stuff like that. Yeah. Then I played the Falconeer for our Game Club game last week. I'm just going to say I barely played any of it. So I'm not going to have much of an impressions on it. I played about 13 minutes, and all I have to say is if you have to use the same control stick, in this case the left stick, to move your character and aim at the same time, I'm not interested in that, especially when it's a shooter kind of game. So I found that very annoying, and I just did not enjoy the game, did not find it fun. I didn't even get through the tutorial, played about 10 to 13 minutes, and that's why I don't have a video up on it this week. So yeah, I don't recommend it myself, but I can see.
So that's not recommending any of that game, right? Like people don't want to play that.
Some people would. Some people are totally into that thing, but not me. That's definitely not a game for you or me. I know you well enough to say you won't like it.
I'm very picky, yeah.
And then I've been playing Dishonored 2 still, slowly going through on my like ghost playthrough on the very hardest difficulty, and got Mario 3D World finally got delivered, and Taylor and I have been playing some of that, and that's been a lot of fun. So Jesse, what have you been playing this week? What's your game?
I've been playing Nioh 2, and it is a delight. I am very narrow-minded with video games, very picky, just not very open-minded, I guess, and I'm okay with that. So it definitely throws me off guard when there's a game that just like hits all the right notes, and I'm just very impressed by it. It's been a long time since that, probably since, I guess not that long, since Resident Evil 3 remake and 2 remake. Like a year. Those have been like, yeah, it's been a year, and it's like, it's going down in history as one of my top games for sure, which is pretty cool. But yeah, Nioh 2, it's been released on Steam not too long ago. Don't actually know the date.
Yeah, me neither.
It was the 5th. It was the 5th of February. Came out on Steam. This is the complete edition. Comes with all the DLC. Not even full price. So or full game price, like $80 for Canadians. Right. So it was $60 Canadian, which is like the cheapest thing. Which is awesome. It's all the DLC, which is 3 major DLC. One of them that actually was released in December, I believe, which was like the newest one. So that's actually pretty recent for when the game or the complete came to Steam. I know it's been out for a year now on PlayStation. I've been waiting for it to finally release on Steam because I don't have a PlayStation. And I went through the ups and downs of, is it going to be worth buying? Is it going to be a good game? I don't know. And I saw like one review. I didn't want to look into it too much. And that guy's review was pretty much spot on, is that it's like an upgrade of the first Nioh game. So if someone has played the first Nioh game and has enjoyed that game, and maybe had even like minor complaints to it, but mostly enjoyed the game, this game will definitely be a good delight for you too.
Right.
If you haven't played Nioh, like me, I never played the first one, wasn't interested in playing a narrative character set for you and playing through that. But there
Yeah.
was things that were interesting about it. It just wasn't enough. Like I said, I'm picky, narrow-minded, didn't play it. This one, it was like it's advancing on that. It hasn't lost any features that the first one had, I don't believe. And it's just kind of expanded on it and perfected what they were aiming for with the first one. So that's pretty cool. I love it when games do that for their second game. Um, kind of just upgrade on what they were trying to do on the first time and listen to feedback and upgrade on that. So yeah, anyway, if I want to jump into what I've been enjoying about it, there's three main things. First is the role playing in it. Love that about Dark Souls games. It's like a Dark Souls, it's a Souls like game. So if you don't know what that is, go look into that. But basically the combat and how you gain your upgrades and stuff is a Souls like. The special things about it is, to me, is the role playing is so encouraged in it, which I love about a game, is when they not just make you, oh, you can create your character, but you can create your character anytime you want by going
Oh,
back to
really?
your main hub. It doesn't cost you anything. You can change your character to male, female, whatever you want to do at any time throughout the campaign, which is awesome. Because sometimes you want to change your mind. Sometimes you want to just change it. And it's just encouraged and it's fun in that way.
That's
And the
cool.
customization is pretty advanced. Like it's pretty good customization. People have made some funny characters and some pretty cool, like serious ones. It's not all goofy.
Can you
That's
make
cool.
Mr. Meeseeks?
Probably. Someone has made the handsome Squidward face.
Really?
You know, like that one. Yeah. So and it looks like, and I'm not kidding, it looks like him. So that's pretty impressive.
That's awesome.
One of the recent things is, you know, there's a Ninja Gaiden remake, remaster releasing. So for celebration of that, they've released now you can play as Ninja Gaiden character as a character in Nioh.
Oh, really?
And they just release it as a full character model. Like it's not you get the features or outfit for him. It's a whole character transformation you get.
Gotcha.
And they did that also with the Nioh 1 character, the guy you play. I don't remember what his name is.
It's such a basic name.
It is.
I can't remember.
Basic dude. But basically, if you do like him and you played the first game and you want to continue, even the stories aren't really connected in that way, you can.
That's
so
nice.
It's just cool in that way. So you do your custom character or a character that they've preset ready for you. Not just that, but cutscenes and stuff. They definitely show your character with the equipment you have equipped and everything. And the cutscenes are good. They really show your character like doing something cool or like shows your face. It feels like what you created in the custom creation actually gets shown off in the game. So it matters, not just zooming in and like, oh yeah, that's what I did. So that's a nice plus. The armor and weapons variety is vast, just like what you would hope for in a Dark Souls 1 or 2, where you just have so much variety. And if you want to be a ninja or a samurai or a
different play styles.
I don't know. It's just so much different variety in the styles of looks. Not just that, but when your gear is stronger and stuff, you aren't forced into having to look a certain way. You can actually change the appearance of the equipment to what
like
you
transmog.
prefer. Yeah, as you unlock different appearances. So you, again, are encouraged to, if you wanted to play as a monk with his stick weapons and stuff, you can stick with that the entire game through as you find new equipment that's stronger and better. Whether you want lightweight equipment or heavyweight equipment, you don't have to look the part. You can stick with what you wanted to be as the character and change it anytime with like a little bit of cost for the transmog. It costs like a few coins or something, but nothing really for what you get. A second point is the combat. It's not just a Dark Souls copy. They've definitely have their unique Nioh features to the combat, and that's what I'm going to talk about briefly. Is one of the key things that Nioh brings to the table for Soul-like games is the key pulse. Is what it's called. Believe it or not, it's a key thing in the game. Is the key pulse, and that's probably one of the biggest things that are like so addicting in the combat. They did that so well. Which you might ask, what is key pulse? Key pulse is a mechanic that they have where when your stamina goes down from using combat, attacking and stuff, there will be a animation near your character where it's like a light is coming back to your soul. And the second it gets to the center, you have to press your right bumper or whatever you choose as your button to pulse it. And if you time it right, it will regain that stamina or a portion of that stamina that you were just using immediately with your swinging, therefore encouraging you to keep in combat and keep going if you can stay calm and time that pulse right? So if you're flustered, you won't time that right, and then you'll run out of stamina, and then you got to back up or get hit. But if you can be aggressive and stay calm amongst it and know your capabilities and your moves, you can keep pulsing and be continuing just relentlessly attacking someone and dodging correctly, and your stamina won't go down for like a very long time. I think you can even upgrade on that if you wanted to spec just into that. But I do like that. So it's like Bloodborne, where it's encouraging that very up in their face, don't block and run away. In that way, it gives you that option, I guess. But to me, that's really what I've been using.
So the pulse really gets you your stamina back instantly versus like waiting for it to slowly refill, right?
Yes, yeah. A portion of it. So
like
you'll see it kind of going. It'll show a meter of how much you can regain.
Okay.
And the longer you wait, it'll go down. So it's kind of like do some moves, do a combo basically, and then time that right after, and then do another combo, time it, combo, and you can keep doing combos. If you mess it up, you kind of have to block or back up and watch out for their move because they'll get it. But keep pulsing. It's not in any other Souls game. It is a very nice feature. It's a cool feature. There's a lot of options to that. Brings a lot to the table for
I
Nioh.
remember really enjoying it in because I only played Nioh 1 so far, and you've been making me really want to play the second one, and I do remember that being like a key mechanic and actually being something that you can really use to optimize your potential in combat and being able to stay aggressive. I remember that totally, and I'm glad that they still have that.
Yeah, it brings a good balance of like, yes, you got to level up your character, and if you want to go into high stamina, you got to go into high stamina, but it gives a lot more flexibility to a player's skill. If you're good at staying calm during combat, it'll be more forgiving with your stamina consumption, and that's nice. It's not just flat out spec into stamina if you don't want to run out of stamina mid combat. Another combat thing, or I guess more of a loot thing, is the yokai, which are the demons that you fight in the game. They're basically all around the map, little harder enemies. They have more moves to them. They do a lot more damage. They're not the typical ads you're kind of running through and slicing. When you kill one of those, there is a chance that they will drop their soul, and their soul is basically an ability you can acquire that will be a move that they use, and even that they'll use on you. It's one of their move sets, and you can equip 2 of them at a time.
Oh, that's cool.
And it brings so much diversity to combos. So it's not just weapon combos. You could be doing a weapon combo and then use your yokai soul ability, and it will continue on, and you do like turn into a beast of whatever that yokai is that you killed. For demonstration, one that I had is I killed these skeleton archer guys, like just kind of basic yokai guys. I got their soul, and what that soul does is it allows me to summon for a split second 2 of these skeleton guys with archer bows, and they'll fire from a distance at the target I'm aiming at. So it's just an extra move all of a sudden. So I could be starting my attack that way, hitting them with those arrows, and then jumping in with my axes. Another one I had is like a serpent I fought, and I got his yokai soul. And so now I like shoot out this serpent that swings out, hits him, comes back towards me, and then disappears. So they're very like quick moves. And you can upgrade these and change them anytime when you're at a shrine, which is like a bonfire.
Yep.
And you can change up. There's so many different combos in that. So that's definitely another combat thing you could really think into when you're moving. If you want to stun the guy and then continue with combos with your weapon, you could use a yokai soul in that way, or a ranged way. Even buffing yourself. There's one that gives you like a turtle shell in the back.
Nice.
And so now when things hit you in the back, you're immune to it for whatever amount of time. So that's a really cool thing. It definitely brings a fun little bit of RNG to when you're fighting yokais. again and again, it's like,
Mhm.
oh, I haven't gotten his soul yet, so I actually want to fight those ones more and more because I need that chance of it dropping so I can get that ability. What is the ability? Don't know. So that's been fun.
Mhm.
My other one, weapon stances, of course. That's a Nioh feature. That's only in Nioh. Uh, long story short, it's 3 stances: high, mid.
Uh-oh. We lost him. Hey,
I
we
went away
lost you
for
for
a
a sec.
sec.
So you were saying stances. High,
Yeah,
mid,
high,
and
mid,
low?
and low. Yes. And so high does the highest amount of damage and consumes the most amount of stamina. Mid, it's the all around mid damage, mid stamina
Mhm.
consumption. Low damage is the low stance with low stamina consumption. Um, that can be for any weapon. So I like that for Neo because it doesn't limit you to only daggers if you want to be light and fast with your
Yeah.
moves, and it doesn't limit you to only big old hammers if you want to be a big slowing, swinging, heavy damage person. Right? You can do that with any weapon. Any weapon has a slow, heavy hit, and any weapon has a quick slicing and has a mid range.
Mhm.
And that's so fun for any weapon. Really doesn't make you feel like you're forced into a role. Like, oh, well, no, I want to be having big weapons, so I obviously have to be a tank. You don't. You could be fast swinging, dodging ninja with huge weapons. Like,
Right.
just go for it.
Yeah.
And you can have decked out, heavy looking armor of a samurai, and you could be the fastest dude. So it's just like, it gives you all that variety. Um, so that's the combat. My third thing is the theme. So Nioh is based in a old Japan folklore, and I think that's a very cool thing to jump into. I don't see a lot of games going into like the folklore. Maybe some Japan themed games, which I love, but the folklore itself is like such weird characters. I've never seen. I don't know much about it, but it's pretty accurate when they use names and stuff like character ideas and stuff. They've
Okay.
used it from actual folklore, so I've been learning about that as I go on, but the characters and stuff, they're just from terrifying to hilarious. There is a perfect variety of that in the game where you might find a new enemy. You're like, that thing is hilarious looking. What the
Yeah,
heck is
yeah.
that? To, holy crap, the thing is going to give me nightmares. It's terrifying. So it's just a good mix of all of that. It's not too serious of a game, but it also can be. So it's just,
Yeah.
it brings so much to the table in that theme in general. So I'm really happy they went with that.
I
It sounds like you have something to
yeah,
say. Go.
I remember one specific demon that made me laugh was like there's like this one in the first game, of course, and it's like this
Mm.
cyclops, but it's like this one-eyed little guy, and he has a long tongue, and I would like start attacking
Oh,
him, and if you don't kill him fast enough, he transforms into this giant cyclops that like was bigger than you, and you could just grab you and throw you or like beat you up. And I just remember like thinking, oh, this guy's so funny looking. Just run up and start slicing him. Killed the first one, no problem. Then I see another one, start fighting him, and for whatever reason, I run out of stamina or I don't. He has a tiny bit of health left, and then just transform into this giant cyclops guy and start beating like
right.
snot out of me. And I just remember that like similar to what you're saying. Like it can be serious and it can also be funny. So that
Yeah,
was a funny
yeah, it's a
character.
good mix. Man, I hope that enemy is in the game. I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. That'd be awesome. Uh, but yeah, and so there's those points. So the combat, the role playing, and the theme. Um,
Just nails it for you.
just nails it for me, man. For a Dark Souls kind of game,
Mhm.
it's definitely my favorite one, and that is probably mainly because of the combat. Because with Dark Souls games, like you gotta love the combat.
Mhm.
If you don't, you don't like those games.
Right.
And I've always enjoyed them, but this one just expands on it to like such a nice new creative way with the key pulse, with the yokai souls, with the weapon stances. Like I think I'll have a hard time going back to any other Dark Souls game without those because I love those features so much. I would just want more Souls games with those kind of features. Um, actually, so the good thing to end with is I love the game. I want to keep playing it. The nice thing to know is that there is at least 3 game pluses that you can go on after you've beaten the main story.
New Game
So there's a
Plus.
lot of yeah,
Oh,
there's a lot of end game to the game. And
right.
so there's just so much content, including the 3 DLCs that you get with this complete edition. So much content to jump into, and I'll be with my hands full for a long time. So that's a nice thing to feel. Oh, sorry. One last thing is,
Yeah.
so for then a casual gamer, you might think, well, with all that content, that's a bit overwhelming. Probably won't play it that much. Don't think I'll get it. Think again, because I don't play a ton of video games very often during the week. And sometimes I have as little as like 20 minutes to hop on and play. And this game is so good at just rewarding you in that 20 minutes of time. You can hop on, play 20 minutes, and you don't get far in the story, but you get far in gear progression, to learning different stances, learning different weapons, fighting some yokai, getting some yokai souls. All in 20 minutes, I've been able to get like to another checkpoint and making that little milestone, just kind of going for it enough that it's totally worth it to hop on to play. And throughout the week, if I've only played maybe 3 hours in total of the game, I felt like I've made progress and I've been enjoying the game, which is super friendly for casual gamers in that way. But then also in the back of your mind, if you really wanted to go hard in the game, you got tons of content. And that's verified from a friend who plays hours and hours of video games, and he loves that game and he's still playing it. So yeah, it's just a good variety of just everything. Like, I just don't know. I don't know what to complain about with the game. It's a great complete game. It's a complete edition. It feels like a complete game.
Yeah.
Even though it's $60, not $80, you're buying like a full game. It's not some demo bit and maybe you need to buy a DLC if you really like the game. You get everything. You get everything at your fingertips, and yeah, it's just a full
sold me on it.
Game. It's great.
Sweet. I gotta ask a couple of questions though. One is in the first one, as you used a weapon, you would get experience for it and level it up, and you kind of like grow your relationship with your weapon. Do you still do that in the second one?
Yeah, so there is a lot more game mechanics to the weapons and skills.
It's so complicated.
I wasn't going to start ranting on that. People don't want to hear it, but there is a lot there. That's definitely, I haven't said everything. There is still lots to learn in the game if you buy the game. Yeah, so leveling up each weapon, that's a thing too. It's still in the game.
And then do you think, if you do get to the point where you finish all your content that you have, do you think you'll have to give Nioh 1 a try again? If you get to that point where almost like Dark Souls, where you're like, I've played through all this, or do you think you'll just keep replaying that one?
Yeah. As far as I've seen on reviews of people who have played the first one, no one said that you're really missing out on something from Nioh 1. Everyone's saying it's just like the complete edition. It's what Nioh 1 was beginning to be, and now it's just like perfected in its glory. And if you want to play Nioh, it should just be changed to Nioh Complete Edition or something, because I don't know, maybe the story is intriguing to you in Nioh 1, but that's probably the only thing you'll miss. And the first one is a story, which, by the way, they aren't connected. So it's not like you're needing a recap of what happened. It is a prequel. Technically, it's older. It's not connected, but it's technically older in the times of where it's taking place. It's older Japan than Nioh 1. So again, you don't need to play the first one. This one is everything and more. So yeah, I'll probably just stick with this.
Well, thanks for your rundown and a lot of helpful information on Nioh 2 and your main game of the year so far. Well, let's jump right into our main topic of the show, which is the Nintendo Direct that just happened this last Wednesday. We waited 530 days for a factual, full-on, like, meaty Nintendo Direct, and leading up to this, I remember I was off on the Tuesday and seeing them announce on Twitter that they were going to have their Nintendo Direct tomorrow, being the Wednesday. And, my heart skipped a beat. I was so excited. I thought, man, there's no way I can be disappointed. And then I tried to bring myself down. I thought, no, don't have expectations. But even then, I was like, your head kind of goes, I'm a logical person. I try to think very logically about things. And yet Nintendo is never logical, and I always tell myself that, and yet I never believe it. So I was thinking,
still amaze us.
The thought process was, sweet, there's Nintendo Direct, we're getting Zelda stuff. And then I thought about it, and I thought, okay, it might not be Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, but I might get some cool Zelda information. Zelda 35th anniversary coming up, maybe I'll get that. And And then I thought, even if I don't get Zelda, maybe there's something else for me. I'm excited because there's so much potential. There's Metroid, there's anything for Zelda related stuff, there's Mario stuff. Who knows what we're getting. I was just excited to find out news of what Nintendo was going to do with 2021, since there wasn't really anything coming out that I was aware of. So me being a Nintendo fan, but also very liking specific types of games from Nintendo, I was very excited, but trying to stay reserved. And then the logical part of my brain said, well, no, they have so much they haven't announced. How could they not announce something exciting for you? Because there's just too many things. What would you be excited for, Nick? I'd be excited for like a side-scrolling Mario. I'd be excited for another Odyssey, like Mario Odyssey type of 3D, Mario game. I'd be excited for another like 3D world almost sort of thing. Like I'd be excited for any kind of platforming Mario game. I'd be excited for Mario Kart, even though I probably wouldn't buy it. I'd be excited to find out what they're doing. A Mario Party, Mario Party I'd be interested in. Like right now with like quarantine and everything, I'm playing as many games as I can with Taylor, and she's very specific, but she does like those kind of board games or those like those Mario games that are more we can play them together, go at a slower pace. And so I've been always keeping my eye out for stuff like that. That's why I got 3D World. And so I'm like, hey, maybe a Mario Party, maybe a Mario Kart. That'd be interesting. Dylan, our friend, and a couple coworkers, they were excited for possibly Mario Golf. And I was like, I'd be excited for you guys, but I don't give a crap about any of the Mario sports games. I had fun with them when I was younger. I specifically remember the Mario Tennis on GameCube I really liked, and the mini games in that were really fun. But that's the last.
Does Mario Strikers counts as a sport game, right? Because
it is
soccer.
A sport, so yeah, it would. Yeah,
I know, it's just such a cool theme compared to the other ones. It's not as like professional. It's like aggressive and like crazy. I loved it.
Yeah, it was a fun one, but I don't think that's ever coming back, unfortunately. But yeah, so like that kind of thought process, I was like, man, logically, there's just so much not announced that there's no way they could not say something exciting for me. And like I assumed there was going to be a Animal Crossing update like information, because we knew it was going to be Mario themed, and I was excited for Taylor on that, but I'm not an Animal Crossing guy, so that wasn't really exciting for me. So let's just go right into the direct itself. That was just my first impressions, getting excited for it, thinking what could they say that would disappoint me. A Smash Bros character, I'm like, I don't have any in mind that I would really want. But actually, before I start, the one thing I did consider was, I was telling again our friend Dylan, I was saying, I can totally picture them. They'll start with a Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 trailer. You start the trailer, it shows off some gameplay, and it shows you can play as Zelda and Link. You can interchange between the two of them, and how cool is that, right? And then they go into and then it transitions right into it. Looks like it's still part of the trailer, but then it ends up being a Smash Bros invitation for Zelda from Breath of the Wild 2 to join Smash. And I thought that would be such a cool like little transition thing you're not expecting, and it turns out, whoa, they have, sure, it's another Zelda character, but me being a huge Zelda fan and them only having the one character of just Zelda, like they have Zelda, they have Sheik and Smash Bros Ultimate, but they don't have the art style from Breath of the Wild Zelda character. So like bring in Zelda, have her with cool stuff, and maybe if she plays similar to Link, maybe they just are skins interchangeable, or you just keep Zelda and that's all cool. I was like, that would be such a cool like intro, start the show. Even if it ends bad, I was like, I'd be so happy. Of course,
totally.
Going right into it, Nintendo Direct, they start with a Smash character reveal, like I was hoping, but it was not the character I was hoping. It was some character or characters, Pyra and Mithra, that I do not know anything about, and they have boobs and they are very anime, and I was just like, if you didn't tell me this wasn't from Fire Emblem, I would think it's another Fire Emblem character. You see like the front smash attack, it's just like every other sword character deal. Smash attack. Yeah. I instantly was disappointed with that one, although I didn't have high hopes for a Smash character. So it was kind of that, like, I got myself hyped up for that. Jess, what did you think of the Smash character reveal?
I immediately thought, I'm so glad I didn't buy the second character expansion, because I was thinking about doing it after the first one. The first one was quite nice. It was a good variety. You had Banjo-Kazooie in there. He did not have a sword, and that was nice. It made me think, hey, I do want to buy that second expansion. And then I didn't, and I'm so glad, because I think they're all sword people. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's a lot of sword people, and it's just not interesting. When there's a Smash Bros game, when I think of playing Smash Bros, I think of trying different characters, ones that have guns, fists, and swords. And all we're getting is swords, and it just makes the the battles in the game, just everyone's got a sword, and it's a lot of countering and a lot of jump forward with a sword. Stab, poke, upward slash. Like, yes, they're different. It's different speeds, different damage, but it is all just making it kind of a boring combat mix when it's supposed
Visually,
to be
it's
a
the
game
same.
that just, yeah, I find just in the game, it's supposed to be more chaotic with like random stuff going on to what I think in like a party mode Smash Bros. Not in the competitive. I don't know anything about that. Not going to comment on that.
Mhm.
But in the party mode, it's just goofy characters all mixed into one, and it's Smash. Like, you just go for it. But when it's all swords, it's like, okay, is it supposed to be like a theme of like this is like a, I don't know, a swords game? I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just,
yeah.
I found it just did not intrigue me at all seeing that.
Yeah, just
So yeah,
be
it's
no
just kind
different
of,
than if Mortal Kombat only had characters with swords, and you're like all
yeah,
slicing each other to
yeah,
bits. The variety of moves is what makes it visually interesting to watch. Like, oh, we just did this
yeah,
uppercut, or this person did this flying kick to the face instead of another stab and another slash over and over again.
yeah,
I
yeah.
totally agree with that. It's just becomes less interesting, especially if it ends up being for me. I love watching the competitive scene in Smash. I always love it when I see a Ness or like a character that doesn't have a sword coming out, because I'm interested in what they're going to do. I'm watching Bowser or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I see a sword character, unless it's like really top level play, I usually find it kind of boring to watch because it just feels like any of the other characters.
Yeah.
Whether it's Ike, Marth, whatever. So yeah, that's a bit of a disappointment for me. For people who are excited for it, great, but this is not what Smash needed, in my opinion. I know they wanted
Yeah.
bring other like games in and stuff like that, but I think they should have just done a Zelda character or another Mario character. I feel like they just need to go back and get some more Nintendo characters again. Like, it's a Nintendo game.
Yeah.
Bring back your Nintendo characters. I don't care if you do a freaking Goomba. Like, just bring them in. Man, I've been bringing up Dylan a lot, but Dylan was saying he really wants a Koopa Troopa with like a dry bone skin, and like
It'd be super cool.
it would be so cool to be able to. I was thinking about moves for that character the other day, and like imagine if you could pull off your shell and chuck it, right? And you're running around without your shell. Maybe
Ooh.
you take a bit more damage or something, but it like you
Yeah.
can have it going back and forth on the stage, and it could like knock people down or something like that, right? And little moves like that where you could really use your shell as a projectile, and like that would be such a cool thing.
Yeah.
Falls off the stage, you have no shell for a bit, kind of like the crown with King K. Rool, right? I was like,
You could have it where it's a different colored shell every time it respawns on your back.
hmm.
Where if it's a blue one,
Oh
it
yeah,
maybe has the wings on it, so you get the extra jump. Maybe you
totally.
get, and then once you're finished that extra third jump or something, then the wings fall off, and then you have to re-roll the shell again. If it's a red one, it will hit the end of the stage and come back like at least once, right? And if
Right.
it's a green one, it'll just be a straight. It'll go off the edge of the map if you throw it. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, like something like that would be like so much variety in a Koopa Troopa. Like,
They
that'd be a
could have
very cool character.
totally, and it would have been really cool if you
Yeah.
could if they did that, then it would take so much extra work. But if they retweaked Yoshi, so if Yoshi ate the Koopa shell, then you just like gets
Oh,
that
man.
bonus, like in Super
Yeah.
Mario World, where you like blow the fire, or you can like get the wings from the blue shell and stuff.
I mean,
Oh, it'd be
Kirby
great.
would. At least Kirby would.
Yeah, true. But yeah, so yeah, we're disappointed with that one. I'm not going to go through everything that got announced on this because,
Please
quite
don't.
frankly, most of this was not very interesting, and it'll just be us being a broken record. But the next one I want to bring up is Mario Golf. Jess, how did you feel about Mario Golf?
I don't care for Mario Golf. It looked okay, I guess. I guess for someone who doesn't play Mario Golf at all, I find it was interesting they did like a rush mode where
Yeah.
you're like racing to the next point. I think that's a good choice, I guess, to bring some variety. If you wanted to be more blitzy and like fast-paced stuff in a golf game, that would probably offer it. So that's a cool thing.
Yeah, that
I
was the
think a
part that got
Mario
me.
game should have that. Like, it should just have a little more of a party mode, aggressive play in it. So I think that's good. I'd be curious what Dylan thinks of that because he's the golf guy. So
Yeah, all
Yeah.
I know is that the guys I talked to who are really hoping for Mario Golf were very happy. So that's great
Cool, okay.
for all the people who are excited for Mario Golf. That rush mode was the only thing that made me go, "Oh, that's interesting." But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not picking that up at all. It's definitely not for me
No.
either. The other one I want to talk about is the fact that there was like a shit ton of anime RPGs. and
There
I felt
was.
like at least 3 of the games all looked like the same thing. And you got your
Yeah.
weird. I will say though that Project Triangle Strategy working title game
That was
actually
weird.
looked cool. I actually liked the because not the visual, like the visual style was neat, but like the fact that you could have water get electrified by a magic attack, and the higher up you are in the environment, you have a further range for attack if you're using like a bow. And I was like, that, like, they're working on some real strategy in that game, and I think some triangle strategy stuff, and I just think that was really, really cool. I thought the game looked
Yeah.
neat, but of course it's just a demo, and I thought it was really odd that they're like, we have a demo available now, and there'll be a survey you can do later. Like, wouldn't it make more sense if, like, the best chance of you getting someone to actually fill out a survey for you would be when they're playing the demo? Like, wouldn't you want the survey to come out, be available right at the start of the demo, maybe, or right when you finish the demo, you get a little pop up. Do you want to do this survey? Give us some feedback on this game, instead of someone went. Let's say it was me. I went download the demo. I play it. Great, and then they have this thing pop up. Maybe they make a post somewhere on Twitter or something. They're like, "Oh, do the survey," and I don't know anything about it because I don't care, right? So I don't know. I think it's a bit odd for them to do a survey later.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think of that one?
I also, so I found that was the most interesting one because it's actually trying to do something different. They've definitely not done the game, I know that, but it just seems like a poor time to announce that game because it's so mixed with all the other JRPGs that were shown that day or on that stream announcement. Because it's like, for something to be trying a new approach and trying some new techniques, if it was announced as the only JRPG in that Nintendo announcement, it would stand out and be like, oh, interesting, I could maybe look into that. But I was so like done because I saw like 4 already, and I was like, okay, like I just skip, because I was at work and I was like just trying to see something interesting, and I just didn't want to sit down and hear this whole like seminar on what their hopes and dreams are for this game, because I've seen games fall apart and I've seen games be disappointing. And it's like, that's not what I want for that Nintendo announcement. I'm wanting some hype. I want some excitement. I want some quick info that's like, hey, this is what you wanted. Here it is. Not, hold on a second, sit down, listen to what we have to say. This is some exciting stuff we're thinking about doing, and please fill out your homework after, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, like, come on, we still haven't seen anything interesting yet. Like, let's go.
Yeah. It's that expectation that is set when you haven't had a Nintendo Direct in 530 days, and you tell everyone we're having one tomorrow, and it's 50 minutes long. It's almost an hour, and we haven't announced, and it's going to be Smash Bros related and games coming out in the first half of this year, which, in my opinion, they had games that were announced to come out later than the first half, but still,
I saw some 2022 ideas there.
But they even had a game with a specific, it was like August, say 27th or something like that date, and I'm like, that's a bit far. Anyways, besides that though, I mean, they set this expectation for, you've been waiting for so long, we're doing this thing, it's going to be unannounced titles coming in the first half of this year, and also Smash Bros related. So people get excited. Even I was not even that excited for the Smash Bros part, but thinking new games in the first half of 2021, like, I want to know what's coming. This is exciting. Show me some stuff. And then thinking, well, you know, maybe Zelda isn't coming in the first half, but maybe they'll have a teaser or something for the end of the year.
Yeah.
So saying that, let's go right into the Zelda part of this, where we see I don't know how to say his name. I want to say Eiji Aonuma, but maybe I'm wrong there. He pops up on the screen, and I get super excited because he's, you know, producer for Zelda games, and he's been working on Zelda stuff forever. I see him and I go, here we go, something exciting for me. It's going to be Zelda related. I didn't right away think Breath of the Wild 2, but I was hoping. And then of course he's like, hey, how's it going? Like, I bet you seeing me makes you think that you're gonna get some Breath of the Wild 2 news, but nope, you're gonna have to wait longer for that. And I'm like, wow, really? You're gonna like say it like straight on like that, just no emotion, just, yeah, I bet you thought you were gonna get some Zelda news, huh? Well, nope.
How about to start with that? It was weird to start with that, because it was like, okay, like nothing, not even like, we don't have much to say, we're still working on it, we're sorry about that. But what we do have is another quick 2-second preview or cinematic thing, just like they did with the first one, with the Ganon hand on the face. And it was like a quick thing, but it was enough to be like, people analyzed that, thought ideas for what the game's going to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Nintendo's really good at sneaking in like little Easter eggs or things to just get you thinking, you know, oh, well, what about in the background there? There was something there, like that could mean this. And people just love going into that. And I don't think like that can't be a lot of work. I'm sure they have something that they could have made for a little trailer, like a quick little thing. It's not gameplay, just something of expanding on what they already shown of that 2 second of Ganon in the den or something going on, like just a little something with the apology that they don't have anything else to show, and people would be happy. I think they'd be a little bummed out, but they'd be happy more than
a morsel is better than nothing.
We have nothing, not even a screenshot for you. Sorry.
And that's where I want to like come back to the whole, you know, I think logically, and Nintendo doesn't act logically. They do what they want, and they can, right? They are successful, and they do what they want. Not everyone can be that, you know, fortunate. So when I realized we didn't get anything for Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, I was thinking, man, I don't know if you remember this, but back in 2011, or maybe it was 2010, it was before Breath of the Wild, or before Skyward Sword came out originally. They had a teaser image for that game, and it was Fee, and it was one of the painting style artworks, and it was just an image, and they're like, look at like the colors on her, like check her out, you know, she has this like style about her, and there's like a clue in that of what the game's about or something like that. And people would like really be checking out that picture and like, what's going on here, and like trying to figure out, oh, she looks like the Master Sword, kind of like, what is that all about? And like, you know, the game's all about creating the Master Sword. And for all the things I hate about Skyward Sword, that story is the best story in a Zelda game, in my opinion. So
I don't remember much of it, but I did like the whole like Fee sword thing, even though it's a little bit of that like alerting you all the time and talking. That's more of a game mechanic in my opinion that I didn't like. But the idea, same as the Midna thing, like I think that was a great add-on, make the game unique. And Link has his companion of Fee or whatever, and she helps. That's cool.
Yeah, so I was just like, man, they could have totally done an image for Breath of the Wild 2. Just a little painting, artwork, something that people could just look at and analyze and like, hey, what is that? Why is Link's hand glowing or whatever? Why are they showing Link and Zelda? You know, are we able to play it together? They could have put something out just to make people excited and have something to chew on and, you know, theorize about for a while. But yeah, the fact that they're saying, yeah, we're going to have more news for you, and it'll be later this year, made me go, yeah, this game's not coming out this year. So
not at all.
Right away, I assume, you know, it is specifically being developed for the next hardware, whether it's Switch Pro, Switch 2, whatever. And that makes me excited because, you know, that's what Breath of the Wild 1 was. Basically, it was on the Switch, but also on the Wii U. And it also makes me excited because this game, so Breath of the Wild 1 came out, what is it now? How many years ago was this? Like, I want to say it's 2017.
I was just going to say, I think it's 2017.
So we're on to year 4, basically, for this game, for the sequel to be in development, right? And you know, in certain ways it would have started right after the game came out, because the game, this Breath of the Wild 2 sequel, started out as a DLC. And then they started adding more, and they said that...
did it?
Yeah, they said they had ideas for a DLC, and as they kind of thought about it more, they realized, no, we need to make a sequel game. And there's too much to add, and too many things we want to do, that let's make a sequel. They have had a lot of time to play around now with the mechanics of the game. They have the core engine and the physics, which they spent so much time on the first Breath of the Wild, just tweaking and trying to make sure it worked well, and it does. That game has such few bugs in it, and the you know, the glitches you can figure out are so tricky to perform that it's not going to break your game by accident. And I think that is so awesome. It just shows that Nintendo polish that you love. But they've had that's so awesome. They're
and
gonna have
world, like what they created was so great. Like I could definitely play another game with that exact same mechanics, with what they did with the open world, how things affect elements, the wind, fire, all that stuff. Like it's addictive and fun to be in that world, for things to be moving and rolling, and everything just works.
The fact that everything can react with each other, The world feels
Yeah,
alive. You
yeah.
could just be watching. You can see lightning strike metal. You can see
Yeah.
a fish getting blown up by a bomb and they float to the surface. You collect them. You can see the grass light on fire, and you can use the updraft of the air to lift yourself up into the air. Go into the cold areas and you get cold. Go to the hot areas, you get hot, and all those little things that work together. And I think that they're going to add more to that. But even the weather, making the surfaces that normally you can climb everything, but now it's slippery, and you will run out of stamina. You can't climb that now. So how are you going to get around it? What are you going to do? And like that kind of stuff is like so cool, and it's core to like solving puzzles in a fun, unique way that doesn't have to be you press this button and it opens that door. You can try to figure out your own way to do it, and that's really cool. So going off of that, they're going to have like 4 years probably at this point to work on a new game, and that gets me excited when I think back to Zelda Majora's Mask, which came out a year after Ocarina of Time. They had a year with that old engine, and they made a masterpiece in my opinion. It was scaled down. There was only 4 dungeons, but that game has such an interesting loop to it. And so when I think you had a year to basically make this a sequel, and now we have 4 years and probably a bigger team, and in a similar way they have an engine, and they can make now a lot more with this game. I think that workflow is probably optimized better than back in the 2000. So that gets me excited to see how what they can do with 4 years on this one. But it surprises me that it's also taking 4 years at the same time because of what I just said. I was assuming that they would be able to kind of fly through making a new Zelda, and that normally a Zelda game, I'm 28 now, and I have to wait usually like 6-7 years before I get a new like 3D Zelda game, and while you're waiting, typically you get a 2D one or a remaster. So that leads me to saying, well, I think the remaster this year is the freaking Zelda Skyward Sword they announced. So when they gave me the blue balls and they said there's no Breath of the Wild 2 news, then they went on to saying like here's like something cool, and it goes right into Zelda Skyward Sword HD. And I have some thoughts on that, but I want to hear your thoughts on it first, Jess.
Didn't care for it. One thought that did come to my mind was actually my memory of Skyward Sword was a lot better than even the HD. Like when I saw the HD, I was like, wow, that game actually really doesn't look as good as I thought it did. Even like thinking if it was HD, that would be a pretty beautiful game. Not really. I don't think it looks that great. I kind of like the Mario Sunshine, where I was like, I just thought it would be better if it was HD. Like I thought it would look a bit better. It actually needs more than just HD to make it look better, unfortunately. That was kind of my thought on it. Didn't make me want to play it again. I was still crushed with the whole, I thought there'd be a Oracles of Seasons and Ages remake, and on the Switch, like, oh, it'd be so awesome. It'd be so fun. I'd be playing my Switch so much more with that. Like,
I still think it could happen.
Be so cool.
I'm holding on to hope, but yeah, I know what you mean. I was hoping for something like that. Yeah, I think that opportunity is just too obvious. I think it's just that it's just not announced yet. But I would be surprised if we don't get another Zelda remake in some way that actually is a remake before we get Breath of the Wild 2.
That'd be nice.
So something I saw actually, my thoughts on the Skyward Sword HD. I wrote down some notes because I didn't want to forget what I wanted to say here. And I wrote down, first of all, I have Skyward Sword for the Wii still, and I have a Wii U. So why would I want to spend $80-$90 for an HD version if it's the exact same? Now, they didn't go into detail, right? But what I want to say is, like, even though they didn't go into detail, I am not assuming anything other than an HD upgrade is what this game is. Like, they have the controls that are optimized, so like I imagine the motion controls are going to work much better with the Joy-Cons, like they were saying, and the fact that you can use a control stick to do the slices, that's cool, that's great. But if that's all there is for updates, which is what I'm assuming because that's all they brought up, I have a few things I want to say, and that is I already have the game, and in my opinion with the Wii Motion Plus controller, it works totally fine. It works. I never had an issue when you and I first played through that game that one weekend when I first got it. You came over, we played it over a weekend, and we got right down to the final boss, and I think we got stuck on him for some reason. And
Probably just being exhausted of playing
Yeah,
nonstop.
yeah. But that was, I remember we had a fun time, but yeah, I don't
Yeah.
remember much of the gameplay part other than I enjoyed the time that we had playing that together. And then when I went to play it again after that, say a year later, did not enjoy the game. And the game is so slow when it comes to pacing. The story, like I said, is amazing. I love the Links in this classroom. You have the bully, you have like, you know, Link and Zelda have a bit of like a romance thing. I love that stuff. I think that's awesome. And I found that really a fun like starting point for the story. And then you kind of, it is that origin story, like the first, where does that green outfit come from? How does the Master Sword get created? You know, who is the goddess of wisdom, and why is Zelda all the time? Why did she have her powers? And you know, it really goes into that. You know, where is Ganondorf from, or where's the spirit, the demon spirit, you know, that possesses Ganondorf every time, or who is Ganon, right? And I think that is so cool for a story, from a story perspective. You have that origin story finally. You have that first game in the series, and all the timelines branch off of that. And I thought that was so awesome, and that's what made me want to play the game. That's what still makes me want to replay the game. But I won't, because the tutorial takes like 2 hours, or so it takes forever to get through stuff. I don't know how long it actually takes, but it feels like 2 hours. And the cutscenes are not skippable. So if you get to the point where there are certain scenes that are not story, you know, critical, and you just want to get through this guide telling you what you need to do, jump across this gap and go collect that seed or whatever. You're like, okay, I know, I've played this game before. I remember playing on the hard difficulty. You can do it's, I don't know if it's called hero mode or something like that, but basically none of the flower plants grow flowers, and you can't collect hearts. Or none of the flower plants grow flowers. None of the heart plants grow hearts.
Plants, yeah.
And you have to basically brew potions to heal yourself, which is fine. I remember playing through that and going, man, like I wanted to play through a second playthrough on hard, but I have to sit through all these cutscenes again. You know, there's the one demise boss where it's like he's this weird thing with 2 legs and a mouth. It's basically all it is, with a scaly 2 legs and a mouth, and you have to face this boss like 4 times. Yeah, and they pop.
It's just jelly toes. Yeah, it's
but
not
regardless
intimidating at all.
of that, it's just it's a boring fight, and you have to do it multiple times. This game is the perfect example of put as little content in as possible and make you redo it until the story has been done, and then you're done with the game. And that's what I find so boring about it. You have like 3 areas. You have your desert, and sure, it expands a little bit when you go back, but you have your desert, you have your forest, and you have the Death Mountain, the Fiery Mountain. And that's it.
Right.
You have those 3 areas. The forest gets flooded with water, so you can do like a swimming portion when you go back there at one point. That's kind of your water level, and it's just the same forest you were in before, but now you can kind of go vertically up and down. And I don't know, for me, that is very uninteresting. I think the beetle tool, where you can like kind of use the controller to like aim where your beetle's going, it flies around, you can collect items, that was neat at the time. But I don't think it's like, I don't think the whip is very incredible. You just do this and then you swing on the little grapple. That was boring. I don't know, they were really showing like, hey, look, if you like Breath of the Wild, look, this game was the first one to introduce stamina, and it introduced upgrading items and doing these things, and it did, and that stuff was cool to me. Not the stamina part, but the the upgrading the items was cool.
I was like, oh no, stamina.
But that brings
for
me
a Link game, I don't know.
And like, I know I'm on a rant here, but like that brings me to another thing that I remembered about the game, which was you're collecting items all the time in Breath of the Wild, like in Breath of the Wild, and also in Skyward Sword. In Skyward Sword, it has this little animation and tune play where Link has to hold out the item in front of him, plays the little tune, and then you have to read the text like, oh, you collected this whatever jelly blob, and then you press A after it lets you like click A, and then you're done with that, and then you collect more of them. They just pop above your head, no problem, no cutscene. But if you save the game, turn it off, restart the game, and you go back in and you collect that same item again, has to do that cutscene. So every time you go to play the game again, like from saving and turning it off and playing another day, every time you collect the first one of each type of item, you have to sit through that scene every single time. And I found that very annoying because they did that in Twilight Princess, I think, too, with rupees. If you have like a blue rupee, a yellow rupee, red rupee, or whatever, like if you collect them off the ground, he holds it up, and then when you're collecting them after that, they just pop above your head. You're fine. But if you save, restart the game, it does it all over again. So I thought that's weird that they kept that from an older game, and I found that very irritating, especially when you are supposed to collect these items. You have to sit through that every time. It's just unnecessary, and that is a fix that I feel like they could have put into this game. So we'll see if they do, or into the HD remake. But that's one of the things I feel like they should add. I feel like they should add skippable cutscenes, at least on your second playthrough. I think that they need to have a faster way to travel. Right now, like, or in that game, it's just so slow. And I don't know what you would add, but in Wind Waker HD, they added the red sail, so you could sail across the ocean, even like regardless of which way the wind's going. The wind just follows your direction, so you don't have to.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
A nice
feature.
Yeah, and you can get it in that little auction house where you have to like bid for stuff. And so if you're lucky enough and you see the item, you just get it, and then you never have to use the song to direct the wind. But even in Wind Waker, playing the song, when you play it once, you have to listen to Link or watch Link do his whole little animation, then it does the whole song again. You only have to do that once, and then after that, you can actually just play the song and it instantly goes to which direction do you want to go. So even that's optimized if you don't get the sail. I feel like they need to make ways for the game to have better pacing, and I don't know exactly how you would do that, and I don't think they will. But that's my biggest gripe with Skyward Sword, is it feels too slow and feels like you're doing the same thing over and over again, and that's not something you can just fix in a remake.
Fair enough.
The last thing I'll say, it ties into what you were saying about how the game doesn't look great, even though it's in HD. I totally agree. And for me, the reason why it doesn't look great is because obviously it's lower poly models. That just happens. But the game was like talked about as having this painted, like almost oil paint or watercolor kind of style for the visuals. It's very blotchy, and the blur of the lower resolution actually added to that. And I remember seeing when you're flying through the sky and seeing islands popping up in the distance, they looked very like painted blobs, but it was kind of cool how it would start to come into view, and it would almost look like someone was painting more detail to it as it came into view and as you came closer to this place. And even rewatching some of the gameplay from the HD version on the trailer, like you can see the textures are very painted and blurry, but the edges are nice and crisp. And so it's just like of the 3D model, and it's weird and jarring because like the environment, sure, the textures themselves don't look super HD, but even when they do, it's still a painted style. So why did you just go, this game just needs to be HD? Because I've played the emulated version of Skyward Sword on my PC before I even saw this, and it looked just like this, and I thought it looked lame. So it's not even like, it's an opinion I already had established before seeing this HD remake. But menus and text being clear, that'll be the best part of it, in my opinion.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that if they were going to make an HD remake, they should have had added more of a style to it. Maybe a filter of some sort that can add to the blur or the painted style of the whole game. At least to the environments. It doesn't have to be for the characters. But that's what I really think is why it looks so terrible in HD. I think it looks terrible. Sorry if that offends people, but it doesn't look great. It's not supposed to be a clear... That's not the style that they were going for back then. So they were taking advantage of the fact that the Wii couldn't put out a good resolution, and so they went with a painted style, and I think they should have just kept that. But it takes more work, and I can understand why they didn't. I just don't agree with it. Do you have anything else you want to say on Skyward Sword Remake, Jess?
No, I want to move past it. I want to forget that that's a thing.
Okay, well, let's move right into the big banger that ended the whole Nintendo Direct, the biggest exciting news ever, Splatoon 3. Jess, have you ever played a Splatoon game?
No, but I love playing as the Squid, Inklings, and Smash Bros. And Mario Kart. That's about it.
Wow, that's even more
cool
than me.
Characters. It's cool characters.
The design is...
I did look into Splatoon 2 because I liked the characters so much in Mario Kart 8 and Smash Bros. And I was like, these are such cool themed characters that have such creativity to them, and they're like shooting guns of ink, and they're squid, and they go in the water, or in their ink, and they jump around.
Yeah.
And I looked into Splatoon 2, and I was like, oh, mainly because it's on the Switch. I'm not interested in like a, almost not competitive, but like a shooter game. On the Switch, I just don't care for it.
Right.
And so seeing that as like Splatoon 3 again, I was just like, I think I've already made my decision that I just don't want to play a shooter on a Switch. It's just not fun.
Yeah.
Like I would have gotten the Resident Evils on the Switch if I wanted to play a shooter, and I didn't just because the Joy-Cons and the Switch hardware. It's just not for a shooter, in my opinion. They
Right.
got other games that are great for a Switch, and that's just not one of them.
Yeah, I thought it was
So
an interesting announcement because I've never been into Splatoon, so I don't have much of a leg to stand on there. But I never hear about people talking about wanting another one. And maybe
I
just
heard a little
it's
bit
not the company
actually.
that
I
I
heard it a bit
keep.
for Splatoon 3. I knew it was something that people were expecting or
Hmm.
hoping for, I guess. I know the Splatoon 2 was like people were happy with it. It was
Right.
doing well. That's
Yeah,
about it.
that's how like pulled away I am from Splatoon at all. So when I saw that, I was like, yeah, that's not for me either. So in summary, for myself, this was a dud of a direct. It had nothing for me at all.
Yeah.
Had no, if I had a teaser of any kind for Breath of the Wild 2, if I had a teaser of any kind for a new Mario coming out, and I'm talking about like a platforming Mario, if I had a teaser of any kind for the new Metroid, I know they had to reboot it. I know it's not coming for a while. It's probably going to be on the next hardware as well. But like, I just want to see what they're working on. That's more Nintendo properties, not JRPGs from third parties. So
Right.
I found it a bit of a dud. What about you?
One thing to add though was one game we didn't mention. We don't mention all of them, but Monster Hunter Rise.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was announced, and that was probably the only one that was actually intriguing to me because that is a game that even though a Switch would struggle to handle a game compared to my PC when I play Monster Hunter, whatever the
World.
remake thing was, World, yeah, and it was a cool game. It doesn't need the high specs for that game to shine, in my opinion, and that's where the Switch shines. Is those games that don't need that crisp 4K 60 frames. You don't need it. You really don't. And so when I saw that for the Switch, the new one, it looked pretty cool. I'm not very good at Monster Hunter games. Probably won't get it. I don't think I'm going to get into them, but it was an interesting one and it looks fun, looks cool. And it's a Switch game. And to me, that was more like to show for a Switch for the upcoming years. That could be a game that would look even better on the Switch Pro or whatever the new thing is. It's just a more hopes for the future, in my opinion. Like, I think they needed another Monster Hunter. I know they had a Nintendo exclusive one years ago. I don't know what it was called or if it was on the Switch. I'm not even sure. But I know it was like, okay, cool. Like, add another one in there. I think that was the right time for that. I'm glad that they announced it, but that was probably the only thing I really was like, cool.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that
it.
up because that one was. I thought it actually looked good for a Switch game. I think I mentioned in my video actually. I was like, I said, this game looks better than Pokemon Sword and Shield. This actually looks like a really good looking. This is a really good looking Switch game. But yeah, like you said, I'm not gonna get it. But I do like Monster Hunter. I just can't get into the games that as much as I need to in order to get the full experience out of it.
Oh, one more thing I'll add though. It did, so like you're saying, it looked good for a Switch game. And I like to see that just for the future of how the games are getting created more optimized for Switch, because I'm hearing the rumors that a new Resident Evil might be Switch exclusive, which to me at first scared me because it's a third-person shooter, I'm assuming. This is all rumors, so don't take my word for it, but I'm assuming this is going to be a third-person Resident Evil game, Switch exclusive.
Jesse said it. It's happening.
That's what I said, guys. Take my word. But I was worried it wasn't going to work well in the Switch. But a game like Monster Hunter does show like third person. If they're clever with it, they can make the game actually really cool and work. So it gave me hope for that if it gets announced later on. Yeah.
Well, we're actually pretty long on time now, so I'm just going to move right into the last topic of our show for today, which is just wanting to touch on the Xbox FPS Boost feature that they've added to basically they've added it just to a couple games. I think I know Watch Dogs 2 was one of them, but they basically made it so that these backwards compatible older games that couldn't run maybe at higher than 30 frames a second are now playing at double to like quadruple the frame rate they normally would, and they don't need an update. They don't need any kind of work from the developers. They can just do it on Xbox's end, and you just, once it's ready, you just restart your Xbox. You just like, once they've added it to that game update to their library, all you have to do is like restart your Xbox, I guess, and just jump right into it. And I think that's so cool. And just to adding that value to your older games, whatever game you buy on Xbox, we are going to make it the best possible way like that you can play it, no matter whether you're playing on your Xbox Series S and Xbox One, Xbox Series X, whatever it is. We want to bring your games forward. And the fact that they're making this technology right now and that they're bringing it into more games as it goes makes me feel like they are planning this in their first party games. Say Halo Infinite, they could be implementing stuff in Infinite right now to make it like, what is this game going to be like in 8 years? Or what is, if they want it to be, where this is Infinite, this is the platform where we're adding more content to it over the years. What if we have new hardware in 6 years, but it's still the same game? How are we going to make it optimized? Now it runs at 120 frames a second, even better visuals and all this stuff. What do they want to do? I see them totally implementing a ton of stuff into their first party games because of this kind of news. What do you think of this, Jess?
I think that's great. PlayStation doesn't have anything like that, right?
No.
So for consoles, like that's been always on my mind of like, there's got to have more option for FPS, because if you want those frames, consoles aren't for you. And now it's changing that way. Like people, like I have a friend who's like dedicated console guy. He's never going to change. And he's sticking with his Xbox because of that. It's actually giving him some options. And it's like just more power to the player. And I think that's awesome. When I think of if I was restrained to only my Xbox X, not Series X, X. I have like Dark Souls 1 on there that I bought for $8 like back in the day, and it was 30 FPS. And I was like, oh, that's bummer because it's an old game and I know it can run it better. And now it can. And I was like, that is one of the things that would be
potentially when they update it.
Potentially, I didn't check it. You're right.
Yeah, it's only like 4 games that work right now, but they're adding more.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah. So like just that, making your console that you bought feeling more of its actual potential and power. I think that's great because you bought it, and I feel like you deserve to be able to enjoy that. If you're playing an older game, it should feel like it's running on a powerful console.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Take advantage of that hardware.
Yeah.
The potential is huge, and just to correct, like make sure I'm being clear with when you asked me if PlayStation has anything, and I said no right away. They don't, but just to clarify, like they do have a I don't remember what they call it. It might be boost mode for certain PS4 games where you can kind of push it to its limits, but I can't remember if that is on the like PlayStation's console side of things, or if that is something that the developers still have to add as an update to their game to be able to take advantage of the PlayStation's boost mode, right? So that's what I don't remember. But like for Xbox, they don't need the developers to have an update. They just need their kind of their stamp of approval. Yeah, this is cool. Like this is fine because obviously if they went in and optimized an old Xbox game, and it was a competitive game, then that has an advantage in certain ways if it's crossplay or whatever, right? You just gotta make sure that the developer's okay with it. But otherwise, like they don't need any tweaking from the developer side, and that's what I think is so unique and so different and so special about this. So that's really cool. It's great news. Anything that makes us able to get more value out of our old games, great.
Yeah.
Moving on, I want to talk about our top 50 games of all time. Obviously, Ziggy isn't here today, but he did leave me a little paragraph with his number 46, because that's what we're on this week, is our number 46 favorite game of all time. So I'm going to read Ziggy's little paragraph he left here for me. Ziggy's number 46 game is Minecraft. He wrote, It's more than just a game at this point, and more of a place to keep in touch with your friends and mess around together. It was my Animal Crossing last year during quarantine, and it let me be with my friends when I couldn't see them in person. Also, it's pretty fun. It's a pretty fun survival game with lots of player freedom. And it's totally true. It is definitely more than a game. It's more of a platform in a way that just enables people to communicate and socialize and create together. I think no matter how much time passes, I always have that little inkling to want to jump in for a few minutes or play for an hour or something like that. You always want to just jump in and explore the world. It's not my kind of thing, so I always hop back out before I can build anything of significance. But it is a fun game, and I can totally see why it's still so popular. Jess, what do you think of Minecraft?
Yeah. Me and Mickey, we play actually still every now and then. Um, I still find it fun. I definitely can't play it for hours,
Mhm.
and that's just like what Ziggy's saying. Like, if you have the community of friends that play it, it is like totally a way to stay in contact, a way to express, a way to be creative and teamwork on, just ideas. You could,
Yeah,
have your server and be building like for months with each other, and it's just a good hub of community. um, I don't have that with the game. That's why I don't play it for very long, but it is the creativity part of it and the survival part that I like. So yeah, it's a good game.
totally. So my number 46 game, you're gonna like this, Jess. You're gonna like this a lot. So my number 46 game is Kirby Air Ride
Oh
for the
yes.
GameCube.
Oh, it's a
So
good game.
that game, so many fun memories, and I'm so happy that you're on this episode because when I saw that just a
Yeah.
little while ago, I was like, "Oh, this is perfect," because you and me played this game so much when we were younger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just exploring in that city mode where, so they have the races. Who cares? Put that aside. They have this city mode where you basically get on you choose whatever cart you want. There's like the different carts all around the city. There's like this little map with like different areas. And for the GameCube time, it felt like a big city for me at the time. It was like this cool place where you have your forest, you have your lava mountain, you have your skyscrapers, and you have I don't know, like a carport. No, what would you call it? Like a parkade area.
Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
was like a parkade. Yeah.
But yeah, you have all these areas, and like you basically drive your vehicle around. You're collecting power ups. Some are disguised, or some are like grayed out. So maybe there's like, for example, this curved green arrow. Every time you collect one, it increases your ability to turn. So when you get, say, 10 or more, you're able to just move the control stick to the right, and you do a nice sharp turn without having to put on your e-brake and kind of drift around the corner. So it makes you able to kind of dodge and swerve way better. And so you have basically a preset amount of time. You can customize it like 3 to 7 minutes in the city, and you're running around collecting these power-ups. Some are gray, so maybe there's a gray curved circle. Hit one of those, you get a -1. So it brings your bonus back down. And Jesse and I, we would jump into our carts or like our different like stars and vehicles, and you just jump in. They all have preset stats, and then maybe one of them has a faster high speed, but it doesn't turn very fast, right? And then you're specifically looking for those curved green arrows, trying to find power ups to turn left and right really well because you know your car already goes really fast. Or Jesse's could be the one do the opposite where it turns really well but doesn't have high speed, so he's looking for these like blue boost arrows or whatever they are. And it was so fun just trying to collect items, and you're getting offense so that you do more damage, or defense so you take less damage, and you're zipping around. You can mess with each other, or you can just leave each other alone. And then the coolest part was that there are these blocks. There's red, green, and blue. Green always had power-ups, so like Kirby games do. You get your power-up, you can have like the spikes coming out of Kirby, and so then if you sit there with spikes out, if someone runs into you, they get hurt and they fall off of their car, or their car could even blow up if you take enough damage. Or you can get the fire power-up or electricity. And the blue ones usually had like bonuses, not power-ups, but the like curved arrow that I was talking about, like little
all the
buffs.
upgrades.
Yeah, all the little buffs for your car. So you break those to get items, or they just be sitting around in the environment. And then the red ones, they had, I don't know what they had, like a mixture of things. I think it could be kind of any of the other two, or if you got lucky enough, you would find a legendary car piece. And there were 2 legendary vehicles, and each one you needed all 3 of the parts, and you needed to find all 3 before the time ran out. And Jesse and I would zip around trying to get those pieces as fast as we could because those cars were the best. There's one that had like, you took forever to charge up your vehicle, and you're just sitting there not moving. But once you get to max speed or max charge, you let go, and that thing goes fast. It would just zip in like a straight line, extremely fast, faster than any vehicle, and it would just keep going fast for quite a long time. Then there was like a flying one that if you got all the pieces, and they actually use it in Smash Bros as an item. And it was like this flying vehicle where you get all 3 pieces, and you could basically fly forever. If you go off a ramp, you can kind of glide. And all your vehicles can glide to a degree, but some suck at it and drop like a rock, some float for quite a while. And that's just where all the, like, they had so much variety in what kind of vehicle you could get. And once that time, so me going all into that, there's also random events. So you could have meteors falling from the sky, or you could have a thing saying, oh, there's a bunch of items in this one area of the city. So you run around looking for it, you find this spot, and maybe it has like 30 of these curved arrows power-ups. I'm just using that as my example for today. But you just like get them, and all of a sudden you're able to turn, like, it's the easiest thing. You could spin around really quick. You don't have to put on your e-brake at all. You're just moving all over the place, hard to hit. And once that's done, you could either have random or specific challenges that you're doing at the end. So you could have a mode where there's basically a big board. It has points on it. So like 50 points, 100 points. And then you're basically going off a ramp and you're gliding. You're trying to hit the little square where the points are. And you're trying to have more points at the end of 3 rounds than your opponent. So Jesse and I, maybe I went for a ton of the turning power up, but maybe Jesse went for a bunch of like gliding power-ups, so he can glide for a long time. Maybe he's like gliding, and when we do the points thing, I don't have much time in the air, so I just got to go for something, and then he maybe can float around, wait for a certain door to open so he can get like the maximum points, because there's this one that I think it's 100, and it has like a door that shuts and opens right in front of it, so you have to like time your flying and like stuff like that. Or you do a race, and it's maybe a drag race, so it's just straight. So if he had that legendary vehicle that goes super fast, he's gonna win that one. Or you could face off against King DDD, and that was the thing Jesse and I never could defeat, but we always tried.
Never did it.
Never did it.
So close to
hours and hours of our lives where we would spend just trying to defeat King DDD. We'd drive around the city, working together, getting damage upgrades and turning upgrades and whatever we could get just to optimize our vehicle. And then you're fighting against King DDD, and he's zipping around this little arena, and if he smacks you, you take a bunch of health damage, and so you want to upgrade your health as well. And you're basically just trying to do enough damage to him to kill him, and we never did it. But apparently if you beat him, I think you get him as a character to play as. So anyways, it was one of those things that we were always chasing, and it just gives me so many happy memories just playing that.
Yeah, I found that game was probably, I can't tell because I was pretty young at the time, but it's probably the first game that really introduced me to the value of a game, that maybe replaying the game for just speed and being best at the game, and like just getting better at playing the same thing again and again, and the fun in that of like, you know where to go. Oh, I'll go this way, and you just like kind of start building the muscle memory of how to play, and you get like more optimal each time, and you just get better performance every single time. And it just had like endless fun. Yeah, even though the game itself, like, you could unlock a lot of things after playing only like 5 hours. I think when I tried playing it again on the GameCube, I was like getting things so fast compared to when I was a kid. Yeah, the real part about it was just how much can you train yourself to getting better and better at this city, and in 7 minutes, what can you do with that potential in that sandbox of the city? It was big for the time for us.
such a good time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's my number 46 game. Last thing I'll bring up here is the Game Club game for this week. So I haven't talked to Ziggy yet, but that's too bad, Zig, if you're watching. You know what to do. We're going to be playing and Jesse's actually going to play this too, but we're going to be, me and him, we're going to be playing the Outriders demo that's out next Thursday. So we're excited to play that. I'll probably make a little video on that one, and we're just going to play through that. We're really excited for Outriders. So to play the demo and get an actual grasp of what the game is like will be definitely critical to knowing whether we will like the game or not. Jess, are you excited for that?
Yeah, I'm really excited. For anyone who doesn't know, it's a free demo. It's just going to be out on the 25th of February, and your character progression stuff will transfer to the full game. So that's a cool feature. It's really nice. Makes me interested in what the demo really is going to be. If there's enough to really play the game more than 20 minutes, I don't know. But I think it sounds like it's a great demo for what a demo really should be doing, and it's showing you what the game's about. And if you like it, great. It was worth playing the demo, because now that stuff's going to transfer. And if you don't like the game, at least you got to try it for free. You didn't have to pre-order the game or anything, and you can just make that decision in 5 days. So yeah, I'm excited for it.
Me too. I'm just pulling up right now the. Stop it. Do you want to turn off ad blocker? No.
No.
So I'm just trying to pull up information on it because I'm going off of memory, but I do remember it was that we can go up to like level 7. Yeah,
Oh,
so
really?
there's no time limit on the demo. They really encouraged like, hey, this is a demo, not a beta, just so you know. And it will be available even after the game comes out. The other thing is, so yeah, you can get up to level 7, which is far enough to unlock 2 skill points and a class's 4th ability. You can play as all the classes. You'll have enough slots that you could save one of each character if you want, which is cool. So I potentially see myself doing that just to get like, because the saves cross over, why not just get one of every character ready to go at the beginning?
Yep.
What else here? Yeah, so they'll get a 4th class ability, so the players won't be massively overpowered, but they'll get to try out a bunch of their stuff right away to see what class they like. There's a cap on resources for a similar reason. The crafting system will not be available in the demo. It does include crossplay and co-op, which is cool, but that's in beta form. And yeah, basically it just sounds like they'll have a few. You'll basically do a main mission or a couple main missions to defeat a boss, and then it'll open up a couple of side missions. So then you'll be able to do that.
Cool.
And then I don't remember where I saw it, but I'm pretty sure I saw something about world tiers and that you can get up to like a certain world tier, and then that.
Wow.
But only up to a certain one. So I don't know if it was like you can only get up to the second one, or if it was like 4
even
or whatever.
That, I'm surprised about that. Even like.
But yeah, so it sounds like it'll be a meaty amount of stuff for us to try on Thursday, which is exciting, or potentially a couple days there. So that'll be a good time. So yeah, Outriders demo. If you guys want to play it or play it with us, leave a comment down below and let us know, because we're excited for this game. So I'm interested what you guys think of this week's Game Club game. And with all that, I'm just gonna end the show here. Definitely want to say again, thanks Jesse for joining today. Really appreciate it. That way, I did not have to talk to myself for an hour. That would have been very odd and very uncomfortable for me. So yeah, as always, it's nice having you here, and I'm glad that you have your phone and you were able to like set up like the video camera, even if it is stuttery.
Thing. That's right.
That's been good.
Yeah.
Better than just the frozen face. I appreciate that.
I liked that one because then I didn't have to do anything. But
yeah, you had to put on the makeup today.
I could be reading something and be like comment every now and then.
Right.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, no, it's been great. And yeah, next week Ziggy will be back, providing he doesn't lose power again. Yeah, just let us know what you think of the episodes. Let give feedback. I really appreciate it. I know Ziggy does too. We want to make this show better, and can't do that without your opinions. So appreciate all of that. Until next time, keep peeking that screen, everybody. Bye.
See ya.